Hello everyone, and welcome back. In this video, I will explain how to use the HTTP call node in Canvas Agent Studio to integrate external and internal APIs within your agent flow. The HTTP call node is a generic API integration node. It allows your agent flow to call external or internal HTTP endpoints and then pass the API response to downstream nodes. This is one of the most powerful nodes because it connects your workflows to real-world systems. It helps you connect your flows to systems like CRM, ERP, ticketing platforms, payment gateways, document services, or any custom backend API. It also allows you to convert user input into API requests using dynamic values in URL, headers, query, or body. And finally, it stores the API response in system variables, so that you can use it in conditions, messages, or further processing. Now, let us understand the main configuration fields. First, URL field. This is the endpoint you want to call. You can use dynamic templates like $input.order_ID or context.user_email. This makes the node reusable across different users and requests. Then, method selection. You can select GET, POST, PUT, PATCH, or DELETE. This defines what type of API action you want to perform. However, runtime switching currently supports only GET, POST, PUT, and DELETE. Using PATCH dynamically may result in an unsupported method error. Then, headers. This is a JSON string, where you define things like authorization tokens or API keys. For example, authorization bearer token or X-API-key. If the JSON is invalid, it automatically falls back to an empty object. Then response type. You can choose JSON, text, blob, or byte. This controls how the response is returned. Blob and byte responses are converted into base64 format so they can safely move through the flow. Now, let us look at the system variables used in this node. First, HTTP request body, used to send dynamic data in POST or PUT requests. This is how you pass business data from previous nodes to the API. Then, HTTP request headers, used to override headers at runtime. This allows the same node to work for different users or systems. Then, HTTP request query, used to pass query parameters like filters or pagination. This keeps your URL clean and dynamic. Then, HTTP request method, used for dynamic method switching in advanced flows. But use it carefully, because unsupported methods will fail. Then, HTTP response body. This is the most important output. It contains the API response and is used in the next nodes like if/else, message user, or another API call. Then, HTTP response headers, used to access metadata like pagination info, content type, or trace IDs. There are a few important things to understand. Runtime variables always override node-level configurations. The URL templating supports both input and context variables. On successful execution, the node returns the formatted response. If the API call fails, the node throws an error, and the flow stops unless you handle it using proper flow design. Let us take a simple example. We will create a flow that fetches weather details from an API. Flow will be on action node, to HTTP call, HTTP call node, to reply node, user provides in city. The HTTP call node sends a request to the weather API. Then the weather response is shown to the user. Go to the Actions section, click the plus button to create a new action. Fill in the details. Label, weather details. Description, use this action to fetch weather details for a provided city. Now we need to define a parameter. Click Add Parameter. Name, city. Type, string. Required, true. Description, city for which weather is needed. Save the action. Now you'll see the agent flow canvas with an on-action node and reply node. We'll connect the logic. Add an HTTP request node from integrations, and connect it like this. Action node to HTTP request. HTTP request to reply. Now configure the API URL. Wherever the city is required, use $input.city. This means whatever city the user provides will be passed dynamically to the API. Save the flow. Now let's test everything. Open the testing console. First, try this. Give me weather details for Texas. You'll see, the agent calls the API and returns the weather details. The HTTP call node is essential for building real-world integrations. It allows your agent to interact with external systems, fetch data, send updates, and automate complex workflows. So that is how you can use the HTTP call node in your agent flows. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.